It's only just occurred to me what that snippet was.
Dreadful?
Do you remember? And it will require me to do a little bit of singing, but you may remember this. It was a TV advert, and it was just like that. And it was, "We've been making combinations just for men. A laptop with a toaster, a sausage with a pen." And it was kebab flavor pot noodle.
Wow, that's niche.
That is niche.
That niche. Andy's the only person here, and he's just left.
Yeah. So an interesting week. A huge contrast to last week. Huge contrast to Hejira. And I would say,
hey guys.
Hi Andrew. I would say it wasn't a hard listen. So there were things.
Okay then.
Well, no, it depends on your frame of reference. It wasn't something that required me to sit in a darkened room and meditate in order to understand what was going on. It kind of light, didn't require acclimatization, didn't require work to get into a poppy kind of listen. You could hear the soul and the reggae and the electro influences, some good songwriting, unique sounds. Gift's voice when he sings falsetto, as he does in a lot of the album, really interesting and unusual for the time. Obviously, massive success of the album, took the world by storm. But as I said to you before we came on air, if I'm 100% honest with the listeners, I spent the vast majority of this week listening to last week's album, because actually there's no comparison between the two. No comparison between the two.
It's like a 3 Michelin star dish and an old bit of chicken at the bottom of the freezer.
Yeah,
it's like an old burger from a burger van at the football.
Yeah, and you know that it's kind of it's interesting, isn't it? That music is such an emotive thing. You love it or you hate it, but when you're listening to it, whether you love it or hate it, it conjures up those images of what happened when you used to listen to it.
Correct.
And this was that period or during this period, this was everywhere. And as I said, I remember that night of watching the Brit Awards when this band, I'd not heard this particularly, or I'd heard it on the radio and in the car and in shops, but I hadn't heard, okay, this is Fine Young Cannibals. It was just like music. And then they were up on stage collecting an award, and they were up on stage collecting an award, and the young, the Raw and the Cooked, and they're up on stage and they're up on stage. And I bought the album off the back of the fact it was absolutely everywhere. And 1989 was the year of the Raw and the Cooked, not their first album, but their massive success album. And now, looking back on it through the lenses of being mature and having that different perspective, and it following Hejira. I mean, if I was to sum it up in one word, I'm afraid the word would have to be shit. No,
you chose it. I know. Hey, listen. Shall we do some stats?
No, let's not.
No, let's not. The Raw and the Cooked is the second and final studio album from. Like we were talking about Joni Mitchell's 19 albums. That last, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, how many did they do? It wasn't 19, was it?
2.
So it wasn't like 10.
2.
So it wasn't like one a year every year for 3 decades, or.
No, 2. Just 2.
2 was it? Okay.
But the second and final album by British rock band Fine Young Cannibals, released in 1989, the title of the album was lifted from the book of the same name, Le Cru et le Cuit, in French, The Raw and the Cooked, by French anthropologist Claude Levi-Strauss. 4 songs from the album first appeared in the film soundtrack in the mid-1980s, 3 of which were soul tracks from Tin Men, the film, which is actually a splendid film. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Dreyfus and DeVito.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Very good. Yeah, great.
Aluminium siding salesman, just fabulous.
Yeah.
And the band actually do a cameo in the film. They're the house band in the place where Dreyfus fights him, and it's excellent. It's a great performance. The band had already recorded over half the album by the time David Z came in to produce the remainder. His work with the band resulted in the dance rock material, included experimentation in the studio. David Z really came in and said, "Yeah, there are some things going on in the charts right now. If we absorb a couple of these things in here, we're going to get some hits, guys, because this isn't bad." Caviar music one week, then fish and chips the next.
You nailed it, Andrew. Nailed it.
As you said, the album is an eclectic, varied album, taking influences from Motown, soul, rock, funk, British beat, pop. There's a kind of Northern Soul thing going on here, and bits of it.
Yeah,
good
absolutely.
thing. You can see the Northern Soul spinners.
Yeah, and actually for me, yes, a bit of Northern Soul going on here. Also a bit of West London reggae.
Yeah,
so
totally.
A bit of that Notting Hill Carnival kind of feel.
Absolutely. Some other things. Let me see. I've got some stuff down here. Multiple songs from Laura and Cook debuted long before their release on the album. I think, 4 singles from this album?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, 4 singles from the album. While the band were slowly recording the album, they spent a period so far focusing on side projects. After an unofficial semi-hiatus following their first album, Roland Gift went away and did some acting. Do you remember that? He was in Scandal. He was in Sammy and Rosie Get Laid. The rest of the band, David Steele and Andy Cox, however, formed side projects as well, called a band called Two Men, a drum machine and a trumpet, and an acid house inspired. We do hear a wee bit of acid house coming through one of the tracks here. Acid house inspired project, which was described as high tech and danceable. But then they got back together and they sorted out what it was they were going to be doing, and they went with this. Really interesting, funny story about this. You might have picked up on the wire about Prince. Did you pick up the Prince thing?
No, but I did see that this was recorded partly in Paisley Park.
Yeah, so they were obsessed with Prince, right? The band were obsessed with Prince.
And who isn't, let's be honest.
And who isn't, right? So they wrote a lovely letter. The record company wrote a lovely letter and said, Prince, could we possibly have you produce our album? We'd love to come to Paisley Park and do some, if not all of it there, and we'd love you to produce it. And they got a lovely letter back saying, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll give you the brother of one of the people from the Revolution, Bobby Z. He's not even in the Revolution. It's his brother, Bobby, to work with on that. So Bobby did a couple of tracks. I just love that story. Who are we getting? Are we getting Prince? No. But they've said they'll give us someone connected to the Revolution. Someone from the Revolution? No, someone's brother from the Revolution.
Yeah.
So Bobby came in. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, incredible. So yeah, it's been an odd week for me. I was never into the band. I was 18 when this came out, so I was getting into clubbing and dance music in Glasgow. I was getting into I remember being we'd go to clubs, we'd go there till 3-4 in the morning, and then we'd get in cars and go and find raves in farms outside Glasgow.
So you could dance to a bit of Rick Astley or something, you mean?
Dance to a bit of Rick Astley, exactly. And so I kind of discounted this. Clearly, I heard the songs on the radio. I was serving my time as an apprentice electrician at the time. Right, okay. They are far from Birmingham. Andy Cox and David Steele were in the band The Beat. Were they really? Wow, incredible. So I sort of discounted this, but I'd clearly heard the stuff, and I was aware of Roland Gift. I'd seen the little fracas that they had at the award show with Matt Bianco, which is hilarious to watch on YouTube.
Yeah, you sent me the link to it. It is priceless. And it smacks a little bit of that James Corden thing, doesn't it, at the Golden Globes, when it's like, well, so why haven't we won this? We've won everything else. Why haven't we won this as well?
Yeah,
So
totally.
Matt Bianco just kicks him in the balls, doesn't he?
Kicks him in the balls, yeah, absolutely, because they do the old custard pie and it goes wrong. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, this was interesting for me. Never heard the album, knew nothing really about the band, and gave it a proper go. And
so this is from 1989.
yeah.
So what was going on in 1989? You might ask. You might not, but I'm going to tell you anyway.
What was going on in 1999, Andy? Andy? Adam?
So the biggest thing on the news actually was Salman Rushdie published the Satanic Verses, and obviously there was a fatwa on the back of that, and Iran broke diplomatic relations with the UK because we wouldn't kind of hand him over. Also, Sky begins broadcasting.
Really?
Home and Away airs for the first time. Hillsborough Disaster, obviously a very sad day. A Grand Day Out, Wallace and Gromit launches. European Commission.
That old?
Yeah, European Commission says Britain fails to meet drinking water standards. So some things never change. John Cleese wins a libel case against the Mirror, who accused him of becoming Basil Fawlty. There's an irony to that because obviously he is. House prices in London, average house price in London, £86,800, now £661,000. So quite a rise.
Word.
Thatcher, Bush and Gorbachev agreed that the Cold War is over. Laurence Olivier and Graham Chapman die, but Anthony Joshua, Lily James, Gareth Bale and Daniel Radcliffe are born. So not a huge amount happened, really. What was that? And
still 6 years before we got the internet.
Yeah, amazing. Amazing. So I propose, because with we did it with Brothers in Arms, and we did it with Hajira.
You want to keep a song?
No, I want to do it in a different order than the order the album was conceived.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because I think that there are gems on albums, and actually what you want is you want to save the best bit till last. Yeah. So I propose that we do the album in reverse order, playing the last track first, because one of the things about looking at this album as an overhaul, the best tracks come at the beginning. The worst.
I agree. We've got some crud to get through to get to the midpoint.
Yeah, we have. So let's begin with "Ever Fallen in Love." So an interesting cover. And in my notes here, I put more electro pop sounds going on at the beginning of this. Arguably, and I would argue this, the worst cover ever of a great song. Obviously, this was written and performed by the Buzzcocks in '78, I think.
I've written in my notes, I don't understand this. If you love a song and you want to tribute it by putting it on your second album, why would you do this to it?
Indeed.
You go up a wee bit.
Can't go any louder.
We've lost you, old chap. There you are. I just don't know why you would do it. If they've clearly got a bit of punk in them. They've clearly got a lot of new wave in them. The Buzzcocks are like, in British punk new wave history, they're high-ranking sort of like demigods of punk and new wave. I don't know why you would do this as a tribute. There's nothing punk about it. It's homogenized drum machine poop.
Yeah. So I don't understand it at all. I really don't understand it.
Don't understand it. It's obviously. I mean, you don't cover a song because you hate it. You cover a song because you love it, right?
You think, wouldn't you? I don't think it's a good representation of the song. I don't think it does. I don't think it even does Fun Young Cannibals any favors, really. It's not a good representation of their talent.
No, not at all. I would say, though, to try to find a little gem in every pile of poop, the video is quite good.
Okay.
The video is quite good. It's worth a watch. Just put your fingers in your ears and put the mute on.
What's really interesting is that at the time that Fine Young Cannibals came out, this just goes to show that your perception of things is different to others. I thought Roland Gift was the ugliest human being I had ever seen in my entire life. I thought he was absolutely hideous, and this came up in conversation a couple of years ago, and a picture of Roland Gift was somewhere, and my wife and daughter both said, "Oh my God, he's absolutely gorgeous."
Yeah, so, I could get that. He did a bit of modelling in his day. He was quite a striking human being. I know what you mean, though. I know what you mean. Quite a striking human being. I kind of get that. I can get why he's could be perceived as being quite a handsome guy. But
yeah. Okay, so hard as it is, I put on this very 60s West London soul.
As hard as it is, yeah, absolutely. I've got in my little notes, why is the guy who is clearly comfortable in the higher range and making a bit of a name for himself in falsetto trying to be like Tom Jones?
Yeah,
I get it. They've got that 60s, 50s retro thing going on. This is the like, can I take you to the pram, walk down the beach, Lover's Lane type thing in the mint-coloured Corvette song. But I just don't understand his, I don't get that.
No.
And then we get the obligatory 80s saxophone mix in the middle, which sounds very 80s, got the 80s echo on it and all that. And then Tom Jones comes back to close it.
Yeah.
It's a pleasant little song, but it's just weird that he goes, if he did it in the voice that we know him as, maybe he would have got away with it.
And I guess that's the thing, isn't it? People's voices change over time, and you get that. Joni Mitchell, because we were talking about her and did her last week. At the beginning of her career, her voice was very different to how it was towards the end of the career, but still recognisably her.
I'm remaining positive. I'm remaining positive.
Yeah. So let's go to track 8.
Let's not. What's with the acid house warble in this?
Well, this is. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is a Frankie Goes to Hollywood song, isn't it? At the opening.
Could be. Yeah. I've never heard the middle to the end of this song, and I never will.
Oh yes, you will, Eric.
They did this in Paisley Park.
Further to Ian's point.
Yeah, this is very confusing. Very, very confusing. Very obscure. His voice is too high. The drums are appalling. I've said, what's with the acid house warble? It's a bit of a mess. And I've put in my notes, I was being tongue in cheek. I've never heard the middle to the end of this song because I couldn't bear it. I couldn't bear it. It was pretty awful. Pretty awful. But it starts to get better from now.
It does. So this is It's Okay, It's All Right. Track number 7.
It's just a shame that they overproduced this so much. This particular track, I actually think it's got potential. But his vocals are so buried by an overdone Stock Aitken and Waterman. So obviously the production team were like, right.
Yeah, they're the hit factory. We want a hit.
They're the hit factory, yeah. We just put some of that doom, that Stock Aitken and Waterman stuff over this, and we've got hits, boys. We've got hits. So they take that Stock Aitken and Waterman drum sound and layer it up and crank it up so high you can hardly hear him. You can hardly hear him. It's a shame.
Yeah, there's not a whole heap of Prince going on in here, is there? I'm going down to Alphabet Street. I know I'm going down in the annals of something that's easily forgotten.
This is great fun. By the way.
Yeah.
This is great fun. So why this overproduced, and why have they? So it's like, right, that drum beat sells. So make that the vocal and put his vocal behind the drums.
Yeah. A bit Scritty Pillity, this.
Oh yeah, never thought of that. Yeah. Would-be's.
Sing up, Roland. Sing up.
Higher. Sing up, Roland, mate. He's lost it.
Yeah, it's. I think that the thing is that there's no. With all the tracks we've heard to date, there's been no strong melody. It's like the song has had no purpose. So somebody that can write songs and can produce songs and can play instruments has gone into the studio and just done some stuff. What you sense with the works of Prince and Joni and Peter Gabriel and David Silver and all of the other people that we've done, all of them, even from the albums that we haven't liked, is that the person that's crafted the song has they've got a story they want to tell. You know, they've got a melody and they've got a hook that they put on the song. And these have been, thus far, it's not true of all the songs on it, but thus far they've been devoid of that. You know, on our LinkedIn Live earlier today, when you said about the Doyle household game, sing Star Wars, sing E.T., sing all of those things, they've got a song, they've got a melody, they've got something that you go, okay, I can latch onto that and I can sing it back to you. Even if I can't remember which one that is, I can say, go on, sing that song back to me. It's like, sing what exactly? There's nothing to sing.
Very much. I mean, obviously we weren't there and it's not documented, but when David Z came in halfway through production of this, there was probably some pretty well-crafted little songs, and he just went, right, we're just going to bluter Stock Aitken and Waterman drums over that one. We're going to make this one a 60s weird. We're going to put acid house on that. It sounds like there was something formed. They were kind of struggling with maybe what they are and what their sound was, and this has just been overproduced and just stuff just overlaid on top just to make it current. That's what it sounds like to me. It doesn't sound like, you know, every artist that we've done, even on the albums that we didn't like I'm not saying we didn't like it, but even in the ones that we were confused about, Lenny Kravitz, where it's like he jumps from soul to Motown to rock to psychedelic, blah, blah, blah. There was a vein running through that, which was I kind of know what he's trying to do. I don't know if they know what they're trying to do here.
Yeah, but also, you know, you listen to any one of those Lenny Kravitz songs, and if you listen to it 2 or 3 times, you could walk down the street whistling it. You know, you wouldn't know where to start with one of these because
no, you're right. It's gone already.
Yeah. So interesting as we move further forward in the album to Don't Look Back. I've put on here opens like an early Beatles sort of jangly guitar break. So actually, this has got a little bit more personality to it, I think. What were your kind of notes and thoughts on this one?
it feels like a genuine piece of 80s guitar pop, like in the genre of the Smiths or something like that. Again, if what are you? Are you a 50s kind of throwback band? Are you a Jamaican kind of dance hall beat type band? Are you acid house, or are you like this? Now, you can be all things, but at least be good at one of them. So it sounds like we're into sort of Prince Smith style jangly guitar. I've put down pure filler. Pure filler. I was looking for a job and I found a job. It's all right. It's not offensive.
Although the voice is a bit Huey Lewis, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, it's again, it's not really him.
My God. But this is from Tin Men, so but it fitted really well in the film. Fitted really well in the film because this is the bit about Danny DeVito's lost everything and he's like down on his luck and he's walking around in the streets, you know, with the soul hanging off his shoe.
Yeah, but it fits in really well, and I'm going to be deliberately disparaging here, is because when you're watching something as well as listening to it, 80% of your attention goes on what you're viewing, not what you're hearing, and that's the you're right. It's just more of the same. But actually, now we're getting to the good stuff on the
album. Yes, absolutely.
And these are kind of pivotal 80s songs.
Yeah, I've so we're going into I'm Not Satisfied now.
No, we've got Tell Me What, haven't we?
Tell Me What. Is that not what we've just done? Oh no, you're absolutely right. Sorry, yeah. I've written down. Sing to yourself at the start. Don't know much about history. Sing that at the start. It's quite funny.
Okay. Yes.
Don't know much about science book. I really like this one. Love it.
Yeah. It's actually a good piece of music. It's got a good tune.
Terrific. It's terrific.
It's got a sound which is distinctive and different from other stuff that is out there. And actually, that's what this is about. This is not
more of that.
Yeah, this is not great art. This album. It's a good song, and it fits in well into the first half of the album. And it is kind of an album of, well, it is an album of two halves, isn't it? It is.
So the crap half and the okay half.
Yeah, but it is side one, the raw.
Yeah,
she drives me crazy. Good thing. I'm not the man I used to be. I'm not satisfied. And Tell Me What. And the cooked. Don't look back. So actually, it is. The raw is good. The cooked is shite.
If only you'd been around an NME at the time.
Yeah, I would have many a career I would have ended. So yeah, this is great. This is the last.
Can you give us a start again? Because even though it's a bit of a what is that song that I'm singing? Don't know much about history. What is that? What is that song?
Wonderful World.
What a wonderful world. And I'm having a bit of a joke about the start. It is very similar. I really like this little tune, and I like the start of it, and I like everything about how it builds and the harmonies and all. It just gives us another bit. Great.
It is. It is. It's okay.
It's a great little bit of bubblegum pop.
That's exactly what it is, and I think that if you think about the albums that we've interrogated, they've had some quite heavy content. Even the Lenny Kravitz album, the words have been quite poetic on most of these albums. Even Radiohead that I hated, OK Computer, you read the lyrics and you go, actually, those could be read out by Will Shorten in the Breakfast Burrito. It's like properly deep stuff. There's none of that going on here, is there?
Oh no, it's proper bubblegum. There's a girl in the park. I'd like to kiss her. I wonder if she'd like to kiss me back. Maybe we could hold hands one day. Maybe we could go to disco.
That's exactly. In fact, we're done now. Thank you. It's been a great review of this album.
That was track 3.
Yeah. So I'm not satisfied. And actually, ironically, I'm not with this album. So I'm not satisfied. You grew up in a similar kind of era to me.
Yep.
So I would say that this is the opening theme from The Clothes Show.
Which in itself was I got the fame, you got the brawn, let's make lots of money. It's Pet Shop Boys.
It is, yeah.
Oh my god. I got the brains, you got the brawn. Oh my god. Never thought of that. Can you stop for a sec? This is going okay for me so far. I actually quite like this. And then they put in this Stock Aitken and Waterman drivel chorus and it ruins it. It's going well.
Then comes the weekend and my troubles go away. Monday morning brings them back again. No, I'm not satisfied. Yeah, it's lyrically it's rather vacuous, isn't it? Although, as Andrew said, yes, it is better than what we've heard so far. It certainly is a move in the right direction. That's for sure.
So that the track that you're thinking about is "Opportunities" by the Pet Shop Boys.
Right.
Yeah, Chris is quite open-minded. Great, and then.
And let's introduce Kylie, a special guest.
We had Sonia and Jason Donovan,
and all of them together.
All of them,
like a sort of Band-Aid, but without the talent.
Like a big melting pot of shit. So I really love parts of this song. I really don't like the chorus. It's very of its era. This was the worst performing single from the album when it was released as the 6th and final one. 6 singles, by the way, in 1990. Worst performing. I think people had been like, yeah, kind of had enough.
Yeah, and that's probably why this was the final
6
album.
singles from a 10 album. That's wringing it dry, is it not?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So this brings us on to track number 3, I'm Not the Man I Used to Be. And actually we're getting to the gems in here, aren't we?
This is high quality.
Yeah. And that Northern soul there's also a bit of, and I know you're a big fan, a bit of Bruce Springsteen, Philadelphia in the guitar part going on here.
Yeah, I don't mind. I really like this. I think it's really, really just a geeky interest part. It samples the Funky Drummer drum line by James Brown, which is really interesting. So that drum line that you hear, dum dum, so that's been sampled 1,745 times. It's one of the most sampled drum lines of all time. So just I'm not going to do them all. Let Me Ride by Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. Fight the Power by Public Enemy. The Originators by Jay-Z. Rebel Without a Cause by Public Enemy. F the Police by NWA. Mathematics by Mos Def. Powder Puff Girls Themes by blah blah blah. Bring the Noise by Public Enemy. All the way right down to Freedom 90 by George Michael.
Yes.
That drum line.
That's where I know it from.
Yeah. Everybody's in there. There are pages and pages of it.
Sorry,
carry on. Interesting. We'll let this one play.
Yeah, it's all right. The lyrics are good. It's got a good upbeat beat. It's a good track. It's a
great track. I find it really funny that all music journalist Joanne Green described this song at the time as having a futuristic jungly beat and an almost housey production. It's the most sampled drum beat of all time. It's from James Brown. It's Funky Drummer. Now feeling chilled. Hopefully you've just joined, because you wouldn't have been too chilled at the start. When we're doing it in reverse, because the back end of the album is pretty turgid.
It's shit. It's just utter noise. But so, this brings us to track number 2, "Good Thing," which again is another banger of a track. Any comments on this?
So this was used as a major sort of motif and centerpiece for Tin Men, the film. So it was set in 1963. So this whole sort of Northern Soul feel that they've got really fits into that. Together with "She Drives Me Crazy," this is one of the other Fine Young Cannibals' twin #1 Billboard hits, both pumped out in 1999. "Good Thing" was a worldwide hit. It charted at number 4 in the Irish singles, number 7 in Australia, number 8 in the German, and number 12 in the Swiss singles. To this day, you can't listen to a whole day of radio without hearing either this or "She Drives Me Crazy" on it at some point. Yeah. As I think it was Andrew that pointed out, the band rose from the ashes of the beat, sometimes called the English beat, to tear themselves apart from that. And this was a big song for them.
Good point, Andrew.
I reckon
I love that album. The Hardline is just a fantastic album.
Putting Terence Trent D'Arby and Roland Gift on the same list of singers is a travesty. Terence Trent D'Arby, fine, your Roland Gift couldn't lace Terence's boots.
Couldn't lace Terence's corset.
Good Thing, yeah, great. I mean, if they're trying to be a kind of like Northern Soul, moddy kind of like, they do a great job with this one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a bit more like it. I mean, these 4 songs, or the 5 songs on this side of the album, has made them famous, and rightly so. You know, this is a good track.
Tremendous, as Andrew says there, alongside "Johnny Comes Home." "Johnny, We're Sorry, Won't You Come On Home" from their first album, which I think is, for me, probably my favourite single of theirs, or favourite song of theirs, alongside this one. This is a topper. They're very good at this. They do it well.
Yeah, we're still damning with faint praise. You know, you say that's your favourite of their songs. That's like saying, what would you rather have, typhoid or dysentery, isn't it? I mean, it's like it's not something that you would choose to listen to, given that
we used to have a joke. It's the equivalent of, we used to have a joke in Glasgow that it's like the equivalent of your mate telling you he's gone out with the best looking girl from Easter House.
Nice. So that brings us on to the last track, which is in fact the first track, "She Drives Me Crazy," and arguably the best track.
Yeah, absolutely. Any comments on this?
I mean, I think what's really interesting about this, in fact, the whole structure of the album, is that it peaks at the start and it gradually just
Well, I think it starts off high and then it goes down and it plateaus a bit and then it maybe comes up a little bit, then it goes down, but ultimately it's going down.
It's going down. It's like the last decade of Kodak's sales figures, isn't it? It's like watching them just gradually fizzle out and die. And it's sad because there are elements of this where his voice and the instrumentation and the harmonies and stuff, it's a distinctive sound, but it's like they haven't got the bravery to follow it through.
Yeah.
If you take somebody like Madonna, she does a whole album of sounding and looking and feeling and being a particular way, and then if need be she reinvents herself and does another album which is entirely different. So they didn't need to say, well, we got these kind of ideas that we want to include, do an album of sounding like this, and it would have been a fantastic album potentially.
Yeah, absolutely. When we start to play this now, 2 years prior to this album being produced, there was an album that came out that took the world by storm, and we've actually reviewed it on this show. And I think this song, if it was performed on that album by that band, would be magnificent. This is a great single. She Drives Me Crazy is a great single. But I feel as if the way it's been produced and the way it's been done here is an homage to, it's almost like there's a motif in this album. I think there are trendy things right now and there are cool things going on in the world. Let's see if we can get as many of them into your 60s style, 50s music as we can. And I think one of them is, let's try and be INXS. Let's try and do a song that would fit on Kick, because people love it and it would work.
Yeah.
I think this song, you could put it in Kick and you could give it to Hutchins and say, go for it. And I think he could do it.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I like that. I like that a lot. So let's have a bit of a blast of this. I see it. Yes.
Come on.
Yeah.
I could see Hutchins on the stage. Except he would whisper the first line.
Yeah, that's all right. If it had been an album like this, it would have been a very different story, wouldn't it?
Yeah, totally. They seem very comfortable in this space. It's a magical mix. His high pitched vocals making people go, "Oh, that's interesting."
That incidentally is my favorite INXS song. I just love that song.
There's big INXS vibes going on here. I mean, just start that again. If you would just indulge me and start that again, and just so here's the latest single from INXS.
Oh, what have I done? Hang on.
Have you shut it down because we're finished?
No, I hadn't shut it down, but I had clicked something and the thing just disappeared.
Oh lordy!
Lord, what have I done? What have I done?
Do. I'll do it. I'll just fill in for you.
Here we are.
Right, so here, ladies and gentlemen, here is Mediate by INXS. Exonerate, regulate.
Yeah. Mediate, try not to hate. Yeah, absolutely.
But they do it well, and actually, it's not it sounds like INXS, but it's not an INXS ripoff.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's stolen is the word that we're looking for, I think, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna do something really smart at the end, and now I've got some piddly little player, and I can't seem to get back to. Ah, that might.
Are you there? Are you there? Are you there?
I'm there. I'm there.
I'm there. I'm there.
So we should finish up with something which is really a high point of the album, which is this. Oh,
this is really slick, by the way. That was last week, old chap. That was last week.
Yeah,
that was last week. Can't do this.
No, I can't do this. But it's been such a dreadfully disappointing week, you know. And as we have said many times, you know, we go into this with an expectation of what the album is going to be, an album that we know really well, we know a little bit, or we don't know at all. We go into it and we deep dive into the album, and we immerse ourselves in that music for the week, and it opens new experiences, new perspectives on the artist, on the time. It brings all of those memories flooding back, all of those things that are so crucial. You said about when we did Rio, you know, a lollipop and pop music kind of thing, and you said this was such a pivotal album for me, a sound, you know, this was absolutely embedded in my life, and all that, and so it doesn't have to be deep music, it doesn't have to be OK Computer, it can be pop music still. But all of them have had to have been something of value, you know, great performances, great writing, they've had something that they've put their soul into, and I don't feel that that's happened here, has it? It's not been.
Well, I think with most of the albums that we've done, we were able to, whether we knew it or not, and if we didn't know it, we could tip our toe in the water and then actually find that the water was reasonably warm, and actually when you put your whole leg in and got in, there was lots to explore down there. This was like putting your foot in, hoping that you were going to get a rich diving experience, but it was just a little tiny thin puddle that just barely covered the sole of your shoe. With a bit of ice on it that you broke through and went, oh, is that it? There's no depth.
I think that's absolutely right. And I think what's interesting is that there are one or two tracks on here that if you were to put together, if we were going to cover a compilation album, 20 tracks, you might put one of these tracks on it. And I think that's the difference, isn't it? Mm. You know, the difference is that all of the other albums have been conceived as albums, and even if they've been groups of songs like In Excess and Rumours and stuff like that, rather than a concept album, they've been of the same ilk. They've kind of fitted together. The thought, there's obviously been a lot of thought put into the order in which they were laid out on the album.
Yep.
Not here.
No.
You know, we've got the raw and the cooked is in fact the good and the bad, or the not quite so bad and the really bad.
So in the That Album Show awards, this is lower quartile on our ranking, I would say.
I would say this was a laggard because, you know, we've covered such great albums. So I've got a list of the albums that we've covered on here.
Have you really?
Yeah. So we did Rumours first of all,
right,
and that was that breathtaking,
sublime.
Yeah, just like, oh my god. For an album that I know so well, I didn't know at all.
I knew nothing about it, yeah.
Brothers in Arms that you couldn't make, and you didn't miss much. It was a bit like this. It was a load of songs that were kind of okay. You know, he's a good song maker. Obviously, there's only one song that people remember from the album, and Money for Nothing is a good song, and it's got a really good story behind it.
Terrific, yeah.
We did The Wall. I think I'm safe in saying that was a challenge for us. It's a difficult album, and to listen to that for a week, you know, has impacts on your mental health.
I aged 10 years.
Yeah, and then we did Out of the Blue, which was the other side of that coin. And you said, oh, you know, I really hate that stuff. And then actually you immersed yourself in it and came out going, Actually, I found myself
Actually,
singing along and tapping. There's some good
tapping the
stuff
foot,
on it.
yeah, brightened my day, yeah.
Then we had my bête noire, OK Computer,
Yeah.
that I know is one of your favourite albums, and I just couldn't. I couldn't see it. I tried, but I found
It scratched your soul, that one, didn't it?
yeah, I just found it very self-indulgent, and I think and albums are okay if you're equally self-indulgent with the music, and I just wasn't. Then you couldn't make the next one, which was Revolver, where Tim and I did that, which is my favourite Beatles album, and that was a joy for me. Obviously, different period to this. Then we did Jagged Little Pill, and I think we both said this is just out of this world. Great.
Jagged
album.
Little Pill, incredible.
Yeah, then we did Kick, a favourite of yours, Sear, a favourite of yours and a favourite of mine. Then we did Nevermind, which again was just fantastic. And
apart from the fact that you had an earache and it was annoying you.
I did, but I pushed through it. Then we did Sign of the Times, which was just fantastic. Then we did Arctic Monkeys, AM.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't make that because you had a power cut.
That's right.
But I saved the best.
And I had recommended it.
Yeah, but I loved it. My son, who's 17 now, he used to really like the Arctic Monkeys, so I was exposed to it a little bit, but I dived into it. Really smart stuff. Then we did Fat of the Land, which I love, one of my favourite albums. You love as well, although you didn't feel the same passion about it because you had others.
That's right.
That you liked. Mm-hmm. Then we did Blue, my favourite Joni Mitchell album, also I thought, which was just fantastic. Then we did Rio. Oh, great. Then we did Faith, and we were both kind of in tears that George Michael was gone. Then we did Brilliant Trees, which I enjoyed, and it was a good intro to that album for me, but always by comparison to Gone to Earth. Kind of a struggle. Then we did Us. Us.
Us.
Which was just fantastic for me. Then we did Mama Said, and then at the end of Mama Said, you said, how about we revisit an artist, and we did Hajira, and as you know, for me that was an utter moon landing.
Epiphany. So people say Blue's our best album, but the Toyota Corolla is the best-selling car in the world. Is it the best car?
No.
Don't know.
So just for reference, Andrew, there's never a time for an Oasis album.
He won't do it. And then we are here.
And then we are here, and frankly, this has been a dreadful letdown for me because you
were quite excited about it too.
I was, because I had memories of the good songs from this album, and I thought to myself, that would be great. It'd be great to get into that because it'll be another Rumours. Clearly, it was as far from that experience as it's possible to be. Rumours had layers of complexity, the different songwriters going on within the album, the brilliance of the playing and the performing and the singing and the rhythms and those little snippets where you went, yeah, I see now why Mick Fleetwood is such a great drummer. It's just, there's nothing like that in this album. So I chose this dreadful way to spend a week this last week. And you said, and in the run up to this, we haven't discussed this at all. Eric said, I've got something that I would like to propose. And I said, go and drop it on me at the end of the...
So we'll drop it on at the end. I think this is going to be okay. I think it's going to be okay. So just I don't mind if we have a meeting of minds on this. So if I have to take 3 albums to the desert island in a gold lined box, I'm taking Gone to Earth, I'm taking Hajira, and I'm taking this album. And I'm going to take us back to August 1994. And if anyone's in the audience that knows this album, so I put this on a bit of a pedestal. We're going to have to go deep, but there is beauty in here. And the album is Grace by Jeff Buckley.
Okay, I'm not familiar with this at all.
Brilliant. So I don't think this is going to be another Hajira moment. It doesn't have to be, right? But this is an epic piece of music and a very tragic story. It could be Mew. Yeah, I've been really taken by this band since Tiba mentioned it in Foreign Artist Week.
I listened to a couple of their tracks, and I really
enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Oh, Love Grace. Now, for the people who know, it's like a secret society, Grace, right? So I've been chatting away to people, and they said, "So what would you say is your favorite album?" And I said, "Well, one of them would be Grace," and people go, "Oh yeah, oh yeah, okay, shh, keep it quiet." Tragic story. Poor. So Tim Buckley's son. Do you know Tim Buckley?
No.
Tim Buckley
I'm
was
obviously familiar with the names of Tim Buckley and Jeff Buckley, but
Tim Buckley,
outside of that,
Tim Buckley, a kind of 70s folk artist, I think. Most famous song, I think, was Tim Buckley's Song to the Siren. Let me just see. Hold on. Tim Buckley. Tim Buckley. So this is the son of Tim Buckley, a very special, gifted young man, but a tortured soul. Into all sorts of music, into Edith Piaf, into Elkie Brooks, into Leonard Cohen. You'll hear all of this in here. And in fact, he does a little tug of the forelock, more than a tug of the forelock to Leonard Cohen. He does a tribute to him on the album because he adores his music. A musical genius, I would say. Tortured soul. Unfortunately, either by accident or by design, his life was ended a couple of years after this album. So Jeff Buckley, Grace. It's a kind of cult album. If you know it, you know, and it's a kind of wink to people to go, all right, okay, you're into Grace, are you? It requires the door locked, not working on emails, no proposals, dark room, chill out, have a nice time. See you later.
Okay, I'm looking forward to this, and I think what's really interesting is that although I like to think of myself generally in life as being open-minded, I sometimes struggle with new music. You know, over the years I've been exposed to so much music, and I kind of have those furrows that I plough. You know, classical music, folk music, blues music, artists that I know are at the very top of the things that interest me. So, you know, although ethically you might not like them, Led Zeppelin, they are the best heavy rock band, hard rock band, because they're just better than everybody else, and consequently that means a lot to me. And it means that it's quite difficult for me then to explore other stuff. So,
this has been a great thing for you then, because it's kind of like pushing you in directions.
Real education for me. This has.
So just on that, when you're listening to this, I'm going to ask you as a guitar player. Now, keep in mind that all the guitar you hear is Jeff while he's singing, right? He's singing, right? The guitarists in the band, the documentaries that I've watched, couldn't keep up with him, couldn't cope with his guitar virtuosity. Jimmy Page was asked to go and see him at the Bataclan and happened to be in Paris and went along to see this young guy that everyone's talking about, Jeff Buckley. So I go in and I'm like, okay. And he gets himself a drink and he turns around and he's like, wow, their guitarist's good. And then he's like, oh, it's the guy that's singing. That's Jeff Buckley. He's the lead guitarist. He's the front rhythm guitarist and lead guitarist. And the guy in the background is just like playing fill-in guitar. He is the front guitar sound. And then Jimmy Page said, I started going, oh, right, so he used a 12 string. No, he doesn't. And then Jimmy Page is like, well, how is he doing that? And that was just a phenomenal moment that Jimmy Page was like, I just don't know how he's doing this. How is he doing this? And he's extremely, extremely vocal in this album. So it'll be interesting. See how you get on with it. Grace by Jeff Buckley. Enjoy.
Yeah, so it's really interesting that that comment that you made about Jimmy Page going reminds me. Obviously, I trained as a violinist.
Yeah,
and there was a violinist in the early part of last century, up to the middle of last century, called Jascha Heifetz, that was not my cup of tea, but incredibly gifted. And when he was touring the world, everybody went to go and see him play. And one of the top soloists of the time, a guy called Mischa Elman, was sitting in the audience with his accompanist. And Jascha Heifetz was up on stage playing. And famously, Mischa Elman turned to his accompanist and he said, oh, it's warm in here, isn't it? And the accompanist said, not for pianists.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to hearing the virtuosity of this.
Yeah, I hope you do. I hope you enjoy it. And even if you don't, we'll have a good old debate about it, because we just spoke for an hour about an album that neither of us really enjoyed.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I've got him up on my iTunes now, and I shall start listening immediately.
Jolly good. Jolly
As always, a pleasure. Thank you to everyone in the audience. I love the inputs, and don't worry, we will do an Oasis album at some point.
Yeah, at some point. At some point. Well, Andrew, which one should we do? Which one should we do? There you go. That's a question. Right. Okay.
So, thank you all very much indeed. It has been a joy as always. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for watching, and thank you, Eric. See you all next.